The Fiat 1100 was never meant to shout. It was small, practical, and sensible, the sort of car that looked perfectly at home outside a cafe, a factory, or a family apartment in 1950s Italy. Yet, underneath that familiar shape lived one of Fiat's most surprising stories: clever engineering, rare bodies, strange design choices, and a legacy that crossed continents. Subscribe if classic cars still fascinate you. Here are the secrets most people overlook. The V4 future Fiat killed. Before the Fiat 1100-103 became the tidy little family saloon people remember, there was a stranger idea hiding behind it. Dante Giacosa reportedly wanted something more modern, possibly a compact V4 engine, a layout that would have made this modest Fiat feel far more advanced for the early 1950s. But Fiat chose the safer route. The familiar 1,089 cubic centimeters four-cylinder engine with roots going back to the pre-war 508 Cibalilla 1100 of 1937. It was not glamorous, but it was proven, cheap to build, and easy to maintain. For ordinary families in post-war Italy, that mattered more than engineering drama. The result was a car that looked new, but carried an old mechanical heart. And that hidden compromise helped define the Fiat 1100's entire character. The Cyclops family saloon that went racing. Then Fiat did something unexpected with this sensible little saloon. It gave it a single spotlight in the middle of the grille and sent it into the world with attitude. The 1100 TV, short for Turismo Veloce, looked almost like a normal family car until you noticed that unusual Cyclops lamp staring back at you. Underneath, it had a tuned version of the 1.1-litre engine with around 48 brake horsepower in early form, giving it far more energy than the standard 1100. This was not a huge number, but in a light Italian saloon of the 1950s, it changed the personality completely. It made the car quicker, sharper, and more credible in long-distance events. The clever part was that Fiat did not need to build an exotic sports car to create excitement. It turned a practical four-door into a little factory hot rod. Fiat's little spider dreamed for America. The 1100 TV Trasformabile looked like Fiat had suddenly fallen in love with Hollywood boulevards. With its panoramic windscreen, chrome details, low roofline, and playful spider body, it felt far removed from the square, practical 1100 saloon. The surprise is that this was not simply a Pininfarina fantasy, but a design linked to Fabio Luigi Rappi and Fiat's own special body department. Shown at Geneva in 1955, it carried the same small car engineering, but dressed it in a far more glamorous suit. The practical benefit was simple. Fiat could offer open-top style without needing a completely new mechanical platform. It was compact, familiar underneath, and visually dramatic on top. Built in very small numbers before the later 1200 version, it became one of the rarest and most curious branches of the 1100 family. The sport wagon that became a chicken shed. Few Fiat 1100 stories are as strange as the Monviso Familiare, a little estate that began life as a Turin motor show attraction and ended up sheltering chickens. Built by Monviso and styled by Giovanni Michelotti, this 1953 special used the 111, 103 base, but reshaped it into a three-door sport wagon with American-inspired two-tone fake wood sides. It was one of the most distinctive features of the 1100 story because it mixed Italian compact car logic with a taste of American estate car fantasy. In practical terms, it showed how flexible the 1100 platform could be. It could be a family saloon, a sporting TV, or even a stylish load carrier. But after the glamour faded, the car was reportedly used to carry grapes and later became a chicken shed. That fall from motor show elegance to rural neglect makes its survival feel almost cinematic. A working-class Fiat wearing Ferrari glass. The Pininfarina Coupe, based on the 1100 TV, was proof that even a modest Fiat could borrow the visual language of Italy's grandest cars. Built in small numbers between 1954 and 1956, it used the humble 1100 TV mechanical package but wrapped it in a far more elegant two-door body. The body was mainly steel, but details such as aluminium doors, bonnet, and boot lid gave it a lighter, more special feel. From 1955, its panoramic rear glass echoed the kind of styling seen on some Pininfarina-bodied Ferraris of the period. That was the hidden advantage. The owner got a taste of Coachbuilt glamour without needing a supercar budget. It was still compact, usable, and recognizably Fiat underneath. Yet visually, it allowed an ordinary 1.1-litre car to stand in the shadow of Italian exotica. A new 124 suit over a 1937 heart. By the time the Fiat 111R arrived in 1966, the car looked as if it had stepped into a new decade. Its straighter lines, cleaner sides, and more modern proportions brought it closer to the incoming Fiat 124 family. But under that fresh suit was the same basic 1089 cubic centimeter engine lineage that stretched back to the 1937 Balilla 1100. This unusual detail made the 1100R feel like a bridge between two eras. Fiat could keep selling a familiar, affordable, dependable car while preparing buyers for the sharper, more modern 124. The practical benefit was continuity. Mechanics knew it, owners trusted it, and the factory could build it without drama. But emotionally, it gave the 1100R a strange charm. It was not the future itself, but the final handshake from Fiat's old world. The Italian car that became India's taxi legend. The Fiat 1100 story did not end in Turin, because one of its most powerful legacies unfolded thousands of miles away in India. The Fiat 1100D became the basis for the Premier Padmini, a car that would become deeply woven into the streets of Mumbai. Sold from 1964 and lasting in production into 2000, it turned a compact Italian saloon into an Indian urban icon. Its appeal was not about luxury or speed, but about simplicity, repairability, and familiarity. In a market with very few choices, waiting years for one was not unusual, which only made the car feel more important. As the black and yellow Kali Pili taxi, it appeared in daily life, cinema, and memory. That is the remarkable ending. A small Fiat family car became part of India's emotional landscape. The Fiat 1100 was more than a small Italian saloon. It was a car of compromises, clever solutions, racing detours, forgotten coach-built dreams, and an afterlife that carried it from Turin to the streets of Mumbai. Its story proves that ordinary cars can sometimes hide the most extraordinary memories. Click to watch more stories about classic British cars next. Like, subscribe, and tell us what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.